Ali in the 1960s was as close to pure fire as a human being can get.
He's a bad man.
It was almost impossible for someone to be more at odds with what white America was about.
He emerged as a major hero.
Miami plays an enormous role.
Miami was the backdrop.
I shook up the world!
It's an amazing American story.
This is how it happened. Nothing in Cassius Clay's past prepared him to become Muhammad Ali. Cassius Clay was one of two sons born to what was considered a middle-class black family in Louisville, Kentucky. His father was a fairly loud, bombastic, sometimes bitter man, drank to excess. It was not a happy home.
In sports, he found a meaning and a discipline and a sense of belonging.
Inside a boxing ring, that was the one place where he could control his own environment. It was as though God was telling him, this is what you're supposed to do.
For young black men in their late teens or early 20s, growing up in the United States in the early 1960s, you were a citizen of the country, and yet everywhere you went, there were signs reading white and colored, legal segregation of restaurants, restrooms, stores, hotels, constant daily reminders that you were a second-class citizen.
Cassius Clay goes to the Olympics in Rome. He wins a gold medal, and he's very proud to be an American. Then he comes back to the United States, and despite having won the gold medal, there are still restaurants he can't go in. He's still called a nigger in some places. He's not happy with it. Then he signs with the Louisville Sponsoring Group, which is a group of wealthy white men in Kentucky. They hired a trainer, Angelo Dundee.
So they called me. And they asked me how we would work with the kid over the phone. I says, very slow, I said, because the transition from amateur to pro takes time. They're like that, so 20 minutes later they call me, the kid's be down tomorrow. He wants to fight.
He came here a young man, wide-eyed, sparkling, smiling. He's in Miami. He never saw anything like Miami. He's with Angelo Dundee and everybody. He never saw anything like the Fifth Street Gym. That was an island of democracy in the middle of all this segregation.
Fifth Street Gym. Man, what a gym that was. Go up a flight of steps, rickety. Some fighters would get mad at something, bang a hole into the wall. We covered the holes in the wall with show cards. It was really something to see.
It was just a grimy working place. Had a feel that you can't get anywhere else except in a boxing gym.
What you needed to be in the Fifth Street Gym was talent to be there, ambition to be somebody, ambition to pay the price, to work hard as hell to be there, and the desire to learn from champions. Because when you went there, you were with champions. If somebody said, round one, they need a middleweight, you can step in there and find yourself fighting the middleweight champion of the world. You might not could sell him, but you could.
Nice kid. I mean, he let me tell you, he wanted to be a fighter. He was, just walking in the gym, he would light it up. He was that kind of young man.
Cassius, how do you feel today? Pretty good. How you doing? I hear you met Don Juan today. How was he? Yeah. He wasn't too friendly.
What do you have to say?
He didn't even shake my hand.
What are you going to do about that?
Now you must fall.
And everybody in the gym loved him. Loved him. Thought that was great. Everybody thought this is our guy. This guy's going to be the guy.
Well, Cassius, how do you rate yourself as a fighter?
Well, I wouldn't want to do too much bragging about it, but everybody that watches me fight or everybody that has witnessed one of my bouts, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
I got him a room at the Charles Hotel in Overtown.
Overtown is Miami's historic black community. It really was established in 1896 when the railroad came in and Miami was founded as a community. It was an absolute center of culture, education, social life. Anything you could get in Harlem, you could get in Overtown. It was just magnificent. Barbershops, restaurants, movie theaters, 5 or 6 of those. For many years, it was the very heart of black Miami. The civil rights movement started in Miami much earlier than it did elsewhere. That was a lunch counter sit-in in Miami before the one in Greensboro that started the whole civil rights sit-in phenomena. So Miami was really a little bit ahead of the civil rights movement.
Blacks had their own position, comfortable in themselves, and didn't pay attention to whites. And the whites did the same. The whites had their little Burdines and Jordan Martian. Don't come in here.
I took him shopping to one of the largest department stores in South Florida and in Miami, Burdines. There was some very nice shirts and they were on sale. And other people were trying them on. The salesman came over and said, "We don't allow blacks to try on clothes." I couldn't believe this. Here I am, supposedly in a more enlightened town. He's not trying on clothes in my store, and he isn't in any major department store in downtown Miami. At that point, Cassius, pulled me in the sleeve, and we went over and talked, and he said, "Look, I don't want to get in this kind of trouble. The police will come, and that's going to be bad for me." So he said, "Let's go to there's nice stores in the black section," so he showed me where they were, and we bought him some really nice clothes at the and some neat shoes at the black store.
Racial segregation was not as severe as it was, say, in Atlanta or in New Orleans, but nevertheless, it still existed.
And the kid didn't have a car. A lot of times he would run across the causeway and come to the South Beach. One day the cops stopped him, big skinny kid running across the highway, helter-skelter. So I may as well done these fighter. And then they said, they called me up and said, "Is this?" I said, "Yeah, he is." They said, "The great fighter." You hit him with a left uppercut. I thought it was beautiful.
Angelo was the perfect trainer for Cassius Clay because he let Cassius be Cassius in and out of the ring. Angelo understood immediately that Cassius did things all wrong from a technical point of view, but he could get away with them because of his speed and his reflexes.
Well, I'm sure any heavyweight that follows me in the ring for 6 or 7 rounds, he's mine after that, if he's still standing.
The newspaper guys at first, his first 6 fights, they thought he was too awkward. Pulled back from punches, fast hand, move. They thought, too much. But I said, look, it'll smooth out.
One of the issues that the older sports writers had with him was his unorthodox style. He was leaning back and away from punches. Well, everybody knows that somebody just needs to step forward, you're off balance, and hit you.
He moves around so much that he really didn't get set, but he was usually moving so fast and concentrating on all the razzle-dazzle that he didn't show for quite a while that he could punch.
Angelo just tried to build on what Cassius Clay did naturally.
I made him feel he innovated everything, because you got to do that with star quality. So I'm just a flunky, I'm there showing him, do this, do that. But it worked. Come out of the ring one day, and I said, "Man, that jab of yours is really snapping that guy's neck back. You're getting it right in the small of his back. You're bending that knee perfect." Next day, he would do it.
That was a jab. That bip, bip, bip. He threw it like this. He didn't throw a jab like this. He flicked it. He called it snake licking. Bip, bip, and he moved. And all of a sudden, he stands still, and there went the right hand.
And he combined that velocity with the power of a heavyweight, and he created a whole new thing. We never saw a heavyweight fighter like that, and we have not since.
I mean, the first fights were like exhibitions that were so easy. Finish. I mean, he even took apart Archie Moore, who was a really clever fighter and hard to get out. He knocked him out.
But Archie Moore is going around popping off saying he's inventing a lip buttoner for me. See, I've earned a reputation as the Louisville lip. Well, since he's going to invent a punch called the lip buttoner, and I'm the one who usually does the popping off, but he's starting, so I cut this from 8 rounds to 4 rounds.
The media fell in love with him because what he could give them. He gave them so much. They had something to write about.
He picked up any kind of PR that would work. I come by, and he's in the swimming pool. He has a body like a Greek god. Everything is perfect. He was gorgeous. He's standing there in a perfect boxing pose. Perfect. And he's boxing. And he's going like this, and he's going like that, and he's going like this. I asked him, why are you doing this? And he said, an old boxer taught me if you push against the water, you're going to exercise. Well, later, that wicked smile came on and he winked at me. And I thought, oh my God, this whole thing was put over. He thought these things up. He thought up the idea, and I fell for it. And of course, I wanted to make the pictures, so, it made great pictures.
He saw the publicity it brought. And what did the publicity equal? A larger and larger presence on the American stage.
Cassius Clay.
He was perfect for television. He was the provocateur, which is what TV wanted.
Well, you recite something and I'll make up the music to it. For a change, do the one about you.
This is the legend of Cassius Clay, the most beautiful fighter in the world today.
He took rhyming to a different level, with this float like the butterfly, sting like the bee, and things like that.
You know how great I am. I don't have to tell you about my strategy. Let my trainer tell you. Bodini, come here. Bodini, tell him, what are we going to do? You're going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. That's what we're going to do. You heard it. That's my trainer. He'll tell you.
We would rhyme around the barbershop, and he came in and he started listening to that, and he said, this is going to be my gimmick.
He will be mine in round 9, and if he makes me sore, I'll cut it to 4.
Thank you very much.
And if that don't do, we'll get him in 2. If he run, we'll get him in 1. And in your heart, you know I'm right.
He wasn't that great a talker till he met Gorgeous George in Las Vegas.
I saw a wrestler once named Gorgeous George, and the place was jam-packed with people. Cars was lined up for miles. They hated Gorgeous George. They wanted him beat, but they paid $100 for a ringside seat. So Gorgeous George walked out with his pretty silver hair, and he was walking so proud, and people was woo, throwing popcorn at him. He said, you bums. He was hollering at the fans. I don't care nothing about you.
And I can't lose. If I lose, I'll cut all my blonde locks in the ring.
Look at my beautiful blonde hair. If he mess up this hair, I'll kill him. I'll annihilate the bum.
But I can't lose. I'm the greatest.
So I got this from Gorgeous George. I said, this is a good idea. Look, he's getting rich. So I start talking. I am the greatest. I cannot be beat. I'm too pretty to be a fighter.
What he's doing is he's taking the American culture, what's in the air at the time, and he invents something called Cassius Clay, the greatest. It's a self-creation. That's a very American thing. And Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali, to me, is writ large one of those self-invented American characters.
Cassius Clay understood that ultimately we're just hungry for copy. And so if you give us copy, as long as you give us copy, you can pull our strings and we have to write about you. And Cassius Clay was able to frame the story. The narrative was his.
They came to that Fifth Street Gym and was like a magnet.
Yes, we parked right over here.
Everybody wanted to see this kid because he was something new, something bright. And Fifth Street Gym was the theater, it was the place.
I am the greatest.
The world was his stage, and wherever he went, that became his stage. It just so happened that Miami was the backdrop.
Everybody from New York, California, they wanted to come to Florida because of sun and fun.
We're on Miami Beach now. This is where all the rich people live.
All of commentators and sports writers, big columnists, radio, television people loved to come to Miami and stay on Miami Beach.
A lot of Northerners were coming in. Jackie Gleason's nationally televised show was coming out of Miami Beach.
He brought Jackie Gleason around one night, Burt Lancaster. Oh, I can just go on and on naming the stars that came through.
When these great entertainers would finish their work on